Hey there, friends. It's Rich, and I'm one of the people that you're here to listen to, and Natalie's the other one. And I just wanted to let you know, we recorded this episode actually 2 or 3 weeks ago now. Things have just gotten away from us. It's been weird having Cora in school. And so we sort of dropped the ball on this. We're going to get better. We're going to get better. We've got 2 episodes now that you'll have in a row. We've got one that you're going to hear right now that we recorded a couple weeks ago, and another one that we just recently recorded. And so you're going to get some consistent episodes from us. We thank you for just sticking it out with us and being super duper cool. And I hope you enjoy the show that we recorded like a month ago or however long. Okay, see you in a second. All right. Welcome. Where have you been? Because we've been here the whole time.
Right. It's been, I'm pretty sure, like a month.
This is Not Suitable for Adults, and this is, as always, a podcast that releases every single week.
Unless we don't.
Never take a break.
Unless we do.
And we're always here for you.
Unless we aren't. August was busy.
Yeah, it was brutal.
It was getting through. So Cora started kindergarten, which super excited about. Loved it for a week, and then Delta variant decided, no, let's not do school. So she didn't get to do school for a week, and hopefully she's getting to go back tomorrow and navigating all of that. And it's just, I mean, that's just a bunch of excuses, but so anyway, that's kind of been our August, is getting ready for school, doing school,
being a little sick sometimes.
Being a little sick. We didn't have COVID, but we
did have drainage.
We got the back to school yuckiness that I still get every August, even though I'm not in school anymore. I used to get so sick like the first week of school in August in college every single year.
Yeah.
And I still do it. And I don't know if it's allergies. I don't know if it's just people. I don't know.
Yeah, it's being around people.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we're all not used to being around people. And then this summer we were able to be around people more. And now people are getting sick again.
The normal things. It's not to say, I mean,
lots of COVID is happening.
Yes. And also the other normal things that happen this summer year are also happening.
Right, exactly. So, anyway.
But we're here.
In
September.
A month later. It's September.
An unintentional break.
A little bit of a fire, I think, was lit under us when we were at the campground with my family. And our sister-in-law,
one of our loyal listeners,
our sister-in-law, Catherine, who you all know and love, was like, hey, you guys coming back over tomorrow? We're like, no, we're just going to hang out at home. And she was like, and record a podcast? And we're like, oh, yeah, we should do
new
that.
Episode. We need one of those.
We should do that. She gave us a look like, I've been waiting. So here it is. Kate, this is just for you.
This is it. So we've got a couple of things to talk about.
Yeah.
And one of them is a little unusual. I talked about it either last time we had an episode or the time before.
I don't remember that far away.
I'm going to talk about a breakfast cereal.
Mm.
My favorite breakfast cereal.
The one that has all the sugar in it.
The one that has all the sugar in it, which could be any number of breakfast cereals. I'm talking about Cap'n Crunch.
Are you talking about Cap'n Crunch? Or the Cap'n Crunch with berries?
I'm talking about both. I'm
Because just Cap'n Crunch makes no sense to me.
Really?
You gotta have the berries if it's even worth it.
I don't think so. I disagree. I actually like both very much. I was talking to someone about this, and I'm not actually a fan of like the all berries one as much. It's fine.
All berries is the same as just regular Cap'n Crunch. It's a completely different cereal.
Yeah.
Cap'n Crunch with berries is two things put together that love each other very much.
Yeah.
Cap'n Crunch and then all berries are just singles living out their lives. And they're a little bitter, but they're fine being alone.
Okay.
But Cap'n Crunch with berry is a happy union.
Interesting.
I don't even like Cap'n Crunch. I'm just saying, if I was to eat it, that's the one I would do.
Passing the judgment.
Absolutely, that's what I do.
Okay, cool. So I want to talk about this. There's not a ton of like amazing history on Captain Crunch. I realize like we've done musical instruments, and we've done books, and we've done shows and movies like normal. And this is a thing that's designed for kids.
Oh, for sure.
That I enjoy as a grown-up.
But you also enjoyed it as a child.
But
right?
I also enjoyed it as a child. That's true. So real quickly, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the history of Captain Crunch. The first thing is an anecdotal thing. One of my favorite like pop culture moments with Captain Crunch was one time, I think it was on Jeopardy. Someone was answering No, I think it was Wheel of Fortune. Cap'n Crunch was the clue. Like, that was what they were solving for.
Did they not spell it correctly?
They didn't pronounce it correctly.
Oh, did they say Captain?
They said Captain Crunch.
That's not correct.
And I'm pretty sure
Pat said
that
no.
Pat said, I'm sorry, you said Captain Crunch. There's no T in this word.
Yeah.
Cap'n Crunch.
Yeah.
It's CAP''N Crunch.
And that's how Cap'n Crunch cost that person thousands of dollars.
Yeah, that's how that person didn't get that one. Which I just think is funny. And I am sorry for that person, but I'm also not, because it's a fun memory in my head. There was a person whose name is Pamela Lowe. Pamela worked for a company, I guess, called Arthur Little, or else maybe that was like it says she was a flavorist, quote unquote, at Arthur Little.
Ooh, how do you become a flavorist?
I think by imagining new flavors for things. And so they were coming up with a new cereal, and they were thinking of like what would be a good flavor for that. And she remembered this thing that her grandmother used to make, which was that she would melt down brown sugar and butter and pour that over like cooked rice. And that was like a treat at her grandmother's house.
So it was kind of like a caramel rice kind of thing. Which, by the way, I'm hearing my voice.
Oh, you're fine.
It seems gravelly.
I'm coughing over on the side too.
We're coughing. We're icky. Sorry, everybody.
This was in 1963. That is the beginning. That's the origin, the genesis of the Cap'n Crunch flavor. So the next time you're eating Cap'n Crunch, sort of imagine the flavor that they're aiming for is a brown sugar and butter flavor over what is actually a corn puffed cereal. They created that flavor for Cap'n Crunch. They described it. She described the flavor as being as giving the cereal a want-morishness.
So, yeah.
Craveable. What we would call today craveable, but she called it want-morishness,
right.
which
or
I
what
think is fun.
we call like when we call something like crack chips or something like that.
Right.
Like we want it so much.
Right. She also worked on Heath Mounds and Almond Joy candy bars. So she was sort
Not
of like
the best of the candy bars either.
Well, here's the deal, though. I'm just gonna say this, and I didn't know that these products are related. Heath is hands down my favorite like ice cream topping. If you can like top, if you're like at an ice cream bar or something and you can top it with Heath bars, love that. Mm-hmm. That sort of crunchy toffee with chocolate, I love. I'm not as big of a fan of Almond Joys, but I love Mounds.
Neither one of those are. Maybe this is where we differ. You're a big Cap'n Crunch fan that comes along with Heath Mounds and
Yeah.
Almond Joy, and none of those are my favorites.
So
at
there's
all.
something about the way that Pamela Lowe designed these flavors that
Pamela
just got to
Lowe
me.
is
We're on
your
the same page.
personal flavorist.
That's right. That's right. So Quaker Oats is the original owner of Cap'n Crunch, and before they released the flavor, they already had the marketing ready. They already had the idea for Cap'n Crunch. They just needed a cereal for it.
Oh.
And so it was, it's the classic captain on the red cereal box. His name's Cap'n Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
He's depicted as an 18th century naval captain, sort of an old man wearing a revolutionary style naval uniform. He apparently there was a thing where he's like he's been like incorrectly portrayed as not having captain's rank a lot like through the years. There were times when he only had like 1 bar or 2 bars or 3. Like they never actually, for a while, they just didn't show him correctly as a captain. By I guess.
Well, he's not a captain.
Right, that's true. He's a captain.
He's a captain.
He's missing the T, and he commands the good ship, the SS Guppy. And I guess like for a while in like especially the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I guess I probably saw some of these, but like there were commercials where like things happened in the commercials. I don't feel like I've seen
a story.
Like he set sail with like these 3 children named, I guess they were named Alfie, Brunhilde, Carlisle, and Dave.
Yikes.
And he defended the SS Guppy from Jean Lafitte, who's named after an actual like historical pirate, I believe. The barefoot pirate often attacked the Guppy in order to steal its cargo of Cap'n Crunch cereal. So like Cap'n Crunch was like the treasure. It was like the golden treasure.
Was he named after the treasure, or did he create the treasure?
Lafitte or Cap'n Crunch?
Cap'n Crunch is his name, but you said he also had Cap'n Crunch in his
the cereal
storage.
Right. The cereal was like the treasure. Right.
So was he named after the cereal? Or,
I hear you. Go on.
Or did he love the cereal so much he changed his name? Or did he discover the cereal and call it after himself?
I truly don't know. I don't know the answer to this.
I mean, sounds like you need to do more research.
According to the Wall Street Journal, his full name is Horatio Magellan Crunch. He captains the Guppy. He was born on Crunch Island.
Okay.
A magical... I'm not gonna be able to say it with a straight face. I want to try and say it with a straight face. A magical island off the coast of Ohio.
What?
And in the sea of milk.
Gross.
With talking trees, crazy creatures, and a mountain, Mount Crunchmore, made out of Cap'n Crunch cereal.
Sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah.
Yikes. The coast of Ohio. That's good.
According to, I guess there's a website called Crunch Facts, which is a website specifically dedicated to the mascot, not to the cereal. It's dedicated to Horatio Magellan Crunch. Young Cap'n Crunch was adopted at a young age by John F. Kennedy and has an IQ of 200.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm letting it permeate.
This was the original slogan for Cap'n Crunch.
Okay.
It's got corn for crunch.
Stop.
Wait. There's a comma there.
Stop.
It's got corn for crunch, oats for punch, and it says crunchy even in milk. That was their big thing.
It's not a very good slogan.
It's got corn for crunch, oats for punch, and it stays crunchy even in milk. Which it does. It stays crunchy a long time. Many people, this isn't in the information I'm reading, but I know from anecdotal evidence that many people don't like Cap'n Crunch because it stabs your mouth. When you eat it, it stabs your mouth because of the structures that they make the corn and oats into to keep them nice and crunchy. They stab your mouth like little swords.
But you love it.
But I love it.
Do you ever come out of it just fully obliterated in there, but
Sometimes
loving
it hurts,
the flavor?
Sometimes it hurts my mouth.
But you love that
But
flavor.
I love it. It tastes
Pamela.
Listen, here's the deal. It's a lot like pineapple. Pineapple is much the same way. Pineapple hurts your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I love pineapple.
Mm-hmm.
It's just with the pineapple, it's the dangerous acids.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, it's the tiny swords of crunch.
Same thing with me, with almost any type of like sucker, especially a Dum Dum. If I eat a Dum Dum,
Yeah, those are very sharp.
they often will lacerate
Mm-hmm.
the roof of my mouth.
It's hard to explain why. It's something about the way it like crystallizes or something.
I guess so.
I have another sort of interesting thing. I don't know if it's related to Captain Crunch or not. Captain Crunch, sorry.
You keep
I know, I
saying
keep saying
Captain.
it wrong. Well, here's the reason why. Before Captain Crunch, the cereal existed, there was a book called Crunch and Des, which was a book of pirate adventures about a person whose name was Captain Crunch.
With a T.
This came out in the 50s. Crunch and Des, classic stories of saltwater fishing. And this is like these two guys who like sailed the seas as fishermen. And I guess like there's like a pirate swing to it somehow too. But like they sail out on the ocean and his name's Captain Crunch. And I couldn't find a lot of information out about it, except that it looks like the book came out in the 50s and there was a brief television series called Crunch and Des where there was a character called Captain Crunch. And that was like almost a decade before the cereal existed. And what I hope to find, because I found that out, I was hoping to see like, and then there was a lot of drama between the owner of Crunch and Des and Captain Crunch. Nope, doesn't exist.
Maybe that's why they called him Cap'n.
Maybe.
So that they didn't have to contend with Captain Crunch.
Maybe so. That's entirely possible. I thought about like trying to find an excerpt of the book to read, but I didn't feel like it.
Did you find anything about why he was called Cap'n and not Captain?
No.
Did you do very much research?
I didn't do a ton of research,
Okay.
but I'm looking at the here. Let's do this. This is real time. I'm going to Crunch Facts.
Crunch Facts. Oh, I bet you they'll have something up there.
Oh boy, this is at the top. Crunch Facts.
Ooh.
Crunch was a man shrouded in mystery,
Yikes.
but no longer, thanks to newly declassified FBI files.
Well, they're taking this very seriously.
Food Theory, there's a video right on the front page. It says, Food Theory, Captain Crunch is an imposter.
Did they say Captain?
It says Captain Crunch.
What?
I
don't understand.
This says something about a Captain Crunch show. Oh man, I'd have to do so much
Clicking.
clicking right now.
Well,
I think they probably, honestly, they probably did it because it looks fun and and it doesn't take so much space on the.
Do you want me to try to do some research while you're talking more?
Not really, because I'm pretty close to done.
Okay.
I do want to do this really quickly. I'm not going to give a lot of time in between each thing, but I'm going to read all the variations of Captain Crunch.
Seriously?
That's on the Wikipedia page because there's a lot more than I knew about y'all. Here we go. Ready? Captain Crunch. Captain Crunch's Crunch Berries. Peanut Butter Crunch. Peanut Butter Crunch Vanilla Crunch. And Jean Lafoote's Cinnamon Crunch. Those are all 3 editions that came out in the 70s. Choco Crunch. Chocolatey Crunch. Christmas Crunch. Deep Sea Crunch. Oops, all berries. They still do that one.
I don't understand. Deep Sea Crunch?
Deep Sea Crunch, a version of the cereal introduced in 1993, which featured crunch berries shaped
Algae.
like sea creatures.
Oh, okay.
This version was discontinued, but returned in 2009.
We put seaweed, algae,
Yeah.
unagi.
Bioluminescent algae. Halloween Crunch, Galactic Crunch, Choco Donuts, Home Run Crunch, Neutron Berries, Rugrats Go Wild Berries, Captain Crunch's Mystery Volcano Crunch, Captain Crunch's Oops Smashed Berries, which is just Oops All Berries cereal with flat crunch berries.
Okay.
Captain Crunch's Cosmic Crunch, Polar Crunch, Superman Crunch, Cinnamon Roll Crunch, Captain Crunch's Crunch Treasures, Captain Crunch Bars, Airhead Berries. Okay.
Are you done yet?
Nope. Cap'n Crunch's Sprinkle Donut Crunch. I'm gonna stop saying Cap'n Crunches. Orange Cream Pop Crunch, Blueberry Pancake Crunch, that sounds great. Chocolatey Crunch Berries, Strawberry Shortcake Crunch, also sounds good. Red, White, and Blue Crunch / Hero Crunch / Freedom Crunch. And finally, Cotton Candy Crunch, which came out in 2019.
Wow.
Just a bunch of crunch.
Yeah, that blueberry pancake one sounds yummy.
Blueberry Pancake sounds good. Strawberry Shortcake sounds good. Those came out in the late 20-teens. And it looks like maybe they might still be circulated every now and then. That's what I got. There's a Wikipedia reference to the term flavorist, which I'm not going to click on. That is...
Well, that was a fun little thing you just did there.
Well, apparently it's a real thing. Like, it's not just a made-up word that they made up for cereal makers.
I very much assumed it was a real thing.
Cool. That is Cap'n Crunch. Not a lot to it, I guess, but I feel like we had some fun along the way.
When did you say it came out in?
1963. It's when they initially created the flavor and released it.
63. Do you know what else came out in 1963?
Was one of your parents born?
Yes, but also...
Oh, it's not that. Okay. Go on.
The Pink Panther.
Dun, dun.
I just watched it again. 1963, the Peter Sellers Pink Panther. That is something I watched as a kid.
Yeah, but it's not something we're covering in this episode, though, right? Or are we?
Not now.
Whoa, wait, were we?
I was gonna talk a little bit about it. No, please
do. I thought you were just making a connection to your real world life, because I didn't think you were watching Pink Panther to prepare for the podcast.
I mean, I was just saying.
Tell me about it.
That's something that I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
And watching it again, I've watched it several times in my adulthood, and it's always good to me.
Yeah.
There's very many it's not as it's very goofy, but it's not completely ridiculous.
What are your feelings as a fan of the original Pink Panther, of the reboot with Steve Martin?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
No.
In protest? Or you just never got around to it?
I adore Steve Martin.
Sure.
Adore him. I didn't want my feelings to change about that.
Okay.
So I didn't watch it.
All right. Well,
because I figured it would not be good. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not good.
Okay, well there it is. See?
It's one of my least favorite Steve Martin things.
Okay. We'll see.
And I like Steve Martin.
I know. I love Steve Martin too. And I didn't watch it mostly, by choice, because I know the original Pink Panther so well. So I did watch that. I think I've talked about this before, that we lived a long time with my grandparents, and my grandpa, my gramps, is super into old movies, and we just grew up on them. We really didn't see anything current ever. We were always just watching like Turner Classic Movies or AMC or TV Land, stuff like that, or he would be showing us movies. And I remember excuse me, I remember him showing me the Pink Panther and just thinking the life that they lived was just so glamorous looking. They just went to parties, and the biggest thing that happened was that sometimes something was stolen. Like, it was very cool to me to think of a time like that. It makes me think of like To Catch a Thief.
Yeah.
That's one of my all-time favorites too. It's just when you said 1963, I knew that's when Pink Panther happened, and I just watched it like yesterday.
Yeah.
So it came to mind. And that, now there's drinking, there's smoking. As far as foul language goes, it's like foul language of 1963. And then there are some like adult themed things that you don't actually see, but like you understand that this person is being seduced or whatever.
Yeah, it's implied through the context, the stuff that's going on.
Yeah. So anyway, but
I always thought the Pink Panther was a weird thing because, like, when I was a kid, I didn't watch the the original Pink Panther movies until I was like an adult. I didn't know they existed until I was like maybe a young teenager. I thought the Pink Panther was the cartoon.
Oh.
And like the comic strip, the Pink Panther.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I learned it was a movie, I thought it was weird because the Pink Panther in the movie is the diamond.
It is.
It's not like the thief.
No, the thief is the Phantom.
Right. And so, but like in the cartoon, it's like the Pink Panther is being sought by cartoon Inspector Clouseau.
Right.
And like that's kind of the same thing, but it's like he's running away from him, like he's the bad guy.
Right. Yeah.
which makes like the watching, if that's all you knew, then going back and watching the movies is kind of weird.
Yeah, because the Pink Panther is actually the diamond that the Phantom is trying to steal, and that Inspector Clouseau is trying to keep safe.
Also, I think it'd be interesting. We should do some research, and I don't know if anyone but me would be interested, but like then there's also Pink Panther insulation. There's house insulation that's branded.
Oh yeah,
with the Pink Panther.
With that Pink Panther, yeah.
And I wonder how that happened.
Oh, I don't know.
That's a weird twist.
I have no idea. I could look into it though at some point.
All I meant to say is that this is not like the planned next thing that we're gonna tell people about, right? We're gonna take a break and we're gonna tell them about even another thing.
No, that was just a little something I was throwing in there. I guess I won't do that.
No. I'm not saying it wasn't good. That was really good.
Oh yeah, good idea about Pink Panther. Let's not talk about that.
No, it's just that we don't have notes ready for Pink Panther, right? Is all I mean.
I knew it. I knew.
You know everything about Pink Panther. You do. That's true.
I didn't have to take notes.
The Pink Panther lives in me.
It's in me. It's in my brain. It's in my soul.
Okay, let's take a quick break in Promoville, and then we're gonna come right back.
Okay.
And we're back from Promoville. Natalie, you've been doing some reading lately.
A lot of reading.
Mm-hmm. Like thousands of pages of reading.
Mm.
And then we started watching some movies.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to talk about, is your reading and your reading experience in the movies.
That's a good, nice job there.
Let's talk about Harry Potter.
Okay. Yeah, I just reread through Harry Potter again just because since moving to this house, it had been a little bit of time, and I went back to the storage building at on my parents' land and got out all of our books that we had stored forever ago. And when I pulled them out, we have all of the hardback versions of Harry Potter. So I was like, hey, why not? So I started rereading Harry Potter again. And then we watched the first movie and most of the second movie.
Yeah.
So I just thought it might be fun to talk about mostly those, I guess, two, but kind of Harry Potter as like, I didn't do a deep dive into everything Harry Potter because that would take a full 7 episodes. And we don't have 7 episodes to devote to Harry Potter.
Right, we definitely don't. I mean,
unless somebody wants to pay us millions of dollars.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could, but like, it'd be a lot. So yeah, what that means is, one thing I want to like right at the jump, like say that we know exists, and then like also that this isn't part of our discussion. We're really just going to talk about the content itself. Is like, there's some controversy around J.K. Rowling right now, and like in the last few years.
I'm not interested in her.
Right.
That's not the point of
right.
this.
That's not the point of this. We're aware that exists, and that's not the point of this, because like the content exists separate from the creator. So yeah, we're just going to talk about the movies as movies, and to a certain degree the books as books, and not really get into and that's not because we agree or disagree with J.K. Rowling. It's just because that's a whole other thing.
I mean, yeah. Harry Potter will always be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So something that I found interesting reading the books and then watching the first two movies is that as I was reading and also as we've been watching through the movies, I have heard several people say to me, I really like the first three books or the first three movies.
Right.
After that point, I'm not interested anymore because it starts to get more serious. It starts to get dark a lot of times is what they say. I've had several people say that to me. Somebody even told me that they listened, like on road trips, one of their favorite things is to listen to the audiobooks. The Harry Potter audiobooks. Which
are great audiobooks.
But they never go past book 3.
So
they
weird.
They only listen to like, I think, or book 4. But because it gets too dark. To me, honestly, it gets more interesting.
Yeah.
First, you have children's books. And you have children's movies. Then, I believe, as Harry Potter and Hermione and Ron grow, as do their problems. Even though, yes, at the beginning, 11-year-olds should not be like fleeing for their lives.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
From a terrifying wizard, but what I mean is that things get more dark and more serious because being a teenager a lot of times is a lot more dark and a lot more serious.
For sure.
And it wouldn't make sense for it to stay kiddie. They're growing, and I believe the books grew in maturity level as the characters grew in maturity level.
For sure.
Excuse me. Also, just watching through the first couple ones again, these babies, they're babies. Every time we watch the first movie, I look at little Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. I just look at them like, they're so little. Like they were tiny babies. And they really grew into, I think, really close friends, I think, by the end. I don't know how they are now, but I remember hearing a interview with Rupert Grint about kissing Hermione for the first time, and he was like, I don't know, it was kind of like kissing my sister.
Yeah.
Because that's how they are. They grew up together. Like they were childhood friends, and then they grew up and they were brothers and sisters, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I did think that was interesting watching the two movies again was that Snape is not as bad in the movies as he is in the books.
For sure.
Snape is the worst in the books. Every turn Harry takes, Snape is there to cut him down absolutely and completely. Every single time. We rarely, at least in these first two, and I know through the other movies it's the same, but I'm sure they didn't want to show that as much in a movie.
Right.
Because that doesn't make for very fun movies.
Right.
An adult, like, completely terrorizing a child. But Snape gets off really easy in the movies. And I know by the end, I mean, we all know the end, that, you know, Snape was doing his best with what he and he's just full of grief and regret and hatred and whatever. But I mean, he was a terrible person in the books. Something else that I said when, of course, Alan Rickman shows up, because Alan Rickman is Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
Like, he shows up. He's the perfect Snape. He's an amazing Snape. He's actually too likable as Snape, though, I think.
Yeah.
I like him too much as Snape. I feel like they could have almost done, like, before we liked him, like a Tom Holland, before we liked him.
Tom Holland?
Sorry, Tom Hiddleston.
Okay, I was going to say,
Sorry.
what?
Too many Toms. Tom Hiddleston, but before we liked him.
Okay.
I think he would have... I'm not saying Alan Rickman was a bad choice. I think he was likable as Snape, and we're supposed to absolutely hate Snape.
Yeah.
But when I was talking to you about it, I said Alan Rickman always plays a bad guy, except for, like, in Galaxy Quest.
Except in Galaxy Quest.
And even then he's like a jerk.
Yeah.
But every single time you see him, you go, oh, yay.
Oh, good.
Yes, Alan Rickman's here. This means this will be good. Even though he always plays somebody that you end up hating at the end, he does it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I'm not saying he did a bad job with Snape at all. I think he was a great Snape. What I think is that everybody loves Alan Rickman.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, he made more of a likable Snape, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Something you said again, and I'm throwing things out here. This has no structure at all. But something you said about Felton. Another Tom? Tom Felton? Draco?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I said so many Toms already.
Tom Felton.
Tom
yes.
Felton. Was that this poor kid,
Yep.
this poor child, like, you know, early teens kid, grew up being Draco Malfoy
Mm-hmm.
in a world that hated Draco Malfoy.
Yeah.
And I have seen those interviews of him going like, actually, it was really hard.
Yeah.
Like, anywhere I went, people didn't like me because people don't like Draco.
Which is like a big compliment for him as an actor.
He played a very good Draco. He's sniveling, he's cowardly,
Mm-hmm.
he's pompous,
Mm-hmm.
and he says things with just the right amount of like malice that it makes you just want to punch him in his face.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, but he does that so well that this child grew up with many other children disliking him
Mm-hmm.
because of the character he played.
And I think that's actually like a that's like the opposite of the problem with Alan Rickman is like this kid from the beginning,
Yeah.
super accurately portrayed a spoiled, sniveling, evil brat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he did it consistently through the whole thing. Like he does such a good job.
Yeah.
As Draco, and it's something that I didn't really even think about. I've watched these movies a few times.
Yeah.
But it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like even just these last couple of days as we've been watching the first two movies, like he stood out more, I think, like now that I'm even more grown up, I guess. The more grown up I'm getting, the more I'm paying attention to the interesting characters.
Yeah.
That I haven't really paid attention to before, and like he's just a really good actor.
Yeah. And like you said, we all liked I don't know what I was fixing to say there, so just cut that part out.
Yeah, we had a parenting break.
Yeah.
We were talking about interesting characters and good actors.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, while you're thinking,
I'm done. I don't know what I
Okay.
was doing. So just move on.
The other thing about these first two movies is Richard Harris, who plays Dumbledore.
Dumbledore.
And he ends up passing that that wizard's cap off to Michael Gambon in the last 6 movies, after he passed away in October 2002. I just want to say that for me, like, when I read the books and then was watching the movies, Richard Harris as Albus Dumbledore is what I had already pictured. Like, he's so much embodied Dumbledore to me. And I guess Dumbledore as he's sort of portrayed in the first.
Again,
Harry gets to know Dumbledore a lot more later.
Dumbledore changes just like everybody else does.
Right.
Which, like you're saying, he plays the kitty wizard really well. But honestly, I don't think he could have done the job. You
don't think he would have been as good of a Dumbledore
I don't,
in the darker episodes?
No, I don't, because he's very quiet and calm and loving, and he talks like this. And in those last movies, in those last books, he becomes a powerhouse and a secretive person and somebody that has the weight of everything on him and somebody that has to distance himself from Harry. Like, it's just, I don't see, obviously, I'm not saying it's good that the change happened the way it happened.
Listen, Michael Gambon is great.
I'm saying Michael Gambon did what I thought the last half of the books, Gandalf.
No, Dumbledore.
I couldn't think of it. Okay, another parenting break. Yeah. And I have to say, Cora was knocking on our door, and that's why I said Gandalf.
Yeah, it was distracting. Here's the thing. I think I understand the sort of picture of Dumbledore that Chris Columbus sort of put Richard Harris in. I agree with. I feel like, so Richard Harris was one of those that, like, he's one of those like an Ian McKellen or a Christopher Lee from Lord of the Rings. Like, he's one of these, like, people who gets brought in, or who got brought into projects to give them more gravitas. I think so. Do you remember? This is a movie that's not for kids. It's not like crazy bad or anything, but it's made for grown-ups. The Count of Monte Cristo. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who haven't seen this movie, in Count of Monte Cristo, Richard Harris plays like this prisoner who teaches the future count, like, how to infiltrate, like, polite society.
Yeah.
And also how to fight and how to be a warrior.
Yeah.
And to me, like, in that movie, he brings a lot more darkness. Like, he's still a positive figure, but he brings a lot more, like, grit. And I think it would have been interesting to see
him continue,
because I know that he had, like, that ability.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to see him turn from, like, the like archetypal wizard into this sort of broken like flawed character that we learn that Dumbledore is by the end of the series.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He plays such a caring.
He's a very grandpa.
Yes, very Santa Claus character.
Oh yeah.
He's a very Santa Claus character in the first 2 movies that it kind of makes me wonder how he would be when it did get dark, when it did get more mature. But yeah, I see what you're saying about that. But there is one other thing I wanted to say. Are we doing?
We're doing great.
Okay. There's another thing I wanted to say, which was I did not at all understand the diagonally joke.
The alley jokes.
The Diagon Alley joke.
Mm-hmm.
The diagonally joke.
Yeah.
Until I was fully an adult.
Right.
Because I just didn't get it.
For some reason that didn't click for you.
It didn't. I was like, why did he say that so weird? In my brain, diagonally wasn't a word or something. So I was like,
or it didn't map to it just didn't map to Diagon Alley.
It was just that he said Diagon Alley in a really weird way. Why did he say it like that? And then they were like, what did he say? He said diagonally. And I was like, why would he say that? Like, that's not even a word. So I only when I say very recently, I mean like in the past, like 7 years.
Right. It was since we've been married is when you came to that realization.
Yeah. Did I really understand
That's
what
so
they
funny.
were talking about?
Did you happen to catch the story about how Daniel Radcliffe got cast? Because I've got it in front of me. I just thought it's an interesting story. So they were searching for the actor who would be Harry Potter for 7 months, and in the year 2000, Daniel Radcliffe was discovered by the producers of the movie. They were like in a movie theater. And he was sitting behind them, and they like turned around, looked at this kid, and apparently were like, "Oh my gosh, Harry Potter's behind us." and so they there's this quote from one of the producers. It says, "There sitting behind me was this boy with these big blue eyes. It was Dan Radcliffe. I remember my first impressions. He was curious and funny and energetic." And there was generosity and sweetness. So Daniel Radcliffe he had played like a kind of a bit character, I guess, in the BBC version of David Copperfield, where he played young David, I guess, in some of the in some of that production. Mm-hmm. So he had some acting experience, but like he wasn't auditioning to be Harry Potter. They just kind of found him
by just how he looked.
Yeah, and it was one of those things where it was similar to what you said with the Princess Bride, where then like they ran him by J.K. Rowling, and she's like, "That's Harry
him.
Potter."
Yeah.
Like you found him.
Yeah.
I just think that's always really cool. And then of course, like Emma Watson and Rupert Grint were unknowns. They were just They just came to a casting call and got cast as little children.
I think that Daniel Radcliffe probably did not grow up to be what they thought Harry Potter would grow up to be.
No.
Because Daniel Radcliffe was a very short, he was more of a shorter, a kind of stout, not like round, but he was shorter and stouter than I think the books.
He never got lanky. Which Harry Potter did at a time, got very lanky. Now, Ron was supposed to always be much taller than Harry. And Rupert Grint also did not get tall. I'm actually looking at there's a picture on the IMDb page of them standing next to each other. This looks like it's probably this is at the world premiere for the final movie.
Okay.
And they're standing there, the three of them, and Emma Watson is taller than the two guys. She's
she's probably wearing heels. Yeah.
But she's standing like about an inch taller than both of them.
Yeah. That is one thing that I think is funny when you're choosing a child actor to grow up into a character, is that you don't know if they're going to grow up to be the character that you wrote. Because Rupert Grint did not get tall, and neither one of them got very lanky at all, and except for when they were 11.
Right.
But yeah, there was something else I was going to say. The Weasleys, specifically Molly and Arthur, I thought were perfect.
Yeah.
I think they took Molly from the books and made her even more Molly, if that can even be a thing. which I think is fantastic. Percy isn't in much of anything until later when we're supposed to hate him again.
Right. Yeah.
I always thought Percy caught kind of like the raw end of the deal. Because all you hear about Percy is how his younger siblings dislike him.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see that in the movies. They don't dislike him in the movies.
Right.
At all. They're at the breakfast table. They're, talking and stuff. They're not overly friendly with each other, but they're just like a family.
Mm-hmm.
And in the books, they really start Percy out with being... They start him out being very pompous and very arrogant and everything. They don't do that in the movies.
Right.
Suddenly, I feel like they didn't resolve that very well in the movies because it's a very sudden that Percy is somebody to be despised in the movies when we have been leading up to it in the books.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's a much slower burn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's something that doesn't come as a surprise when it gets there. So,
right.
Anything else?
No, just how this is one of those movies that or one of these, I would say series that did such a good job. Just did such a good job casting.
Can I say something? Oh, Professor McGonagall.
Yeah, of course.
Is played by none other than the amazing Maggie Smith.
Yeah.
Who is killer in basically anything she does.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to say for everyone to hear because I think it is so fun.
Yeah.
Maggie Smith's full name is Margaret Natalie Smith.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did.
My full name is Natalie Margaret Smith.
Very cool.
I have a kinship.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bond to Maggie Smith.
To Dame Maggie Smith.
Yes.
A world treasure.
I think I'm going to have you start calling me Dame.
Dame. I don't know how that's going to sound to people out in the world. Kind of like, hey, Dame.
Hey, Dame. Excuse you, sir?
So many good people are in these movies. Warwick Davis is in these movies.
Yeah.
Jason Isaacs is in these movies.
Warwick Davis is the goblin, right?
Yeah, he's Grip Hook.
Yeah.
Man, so many
Yeah.
John Cleese is nearly Headless Nick.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I forgot that John Hurt is Ollivander.
Mm-hmm.
We've been watching through Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And I know that I know John Hurt from stuff.
Right.
And so I just take him in stride. But then he came up on the screen and he's Ollivander and I was like, oh right. Yeah. John Hurt. Yes, awesome. Anyway, that's all I got. Everyone in these movies is very good. I
love the cast of Moaning Myrtle.
Yep.
Remind me of her name if you can find it.
I got it. Hang on. Moaning Myrtle. Shirley Henderson.
She is she's also in Doctor Who.
Yep.
She's in a lot of BBC kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
I think she makes the perfect Moaning Myrtle because she's so whiny.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's her voice. Her voice is Moaning Myrtle's voice.
Her voice is just high-pitched crying.
I'm also just going to mention that John Williams writes the score for the first 3 movies, and it's great.
Yeah.
There was actually, we were watching the first one, and there was one moment where it was literally I don't know if he did it on purpose or not, but he almost fully snuck the title theme from Star Wars into. There's bum 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 bum, and we both went da 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 da.
Yeah. Yeah. One other thing is just Rupert Grint's sweet little face.
His dumb face.
He's dumb.
He is such a
cute
dumb face.
little face. And the expressions he makes with that face. And then he uses that adolescent squeak in his young boy voice.
Yep. That was actually happening. Like,
such to his advantage to make it just so good. Anyway, we can be done talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah, we could probably go on and on. We're mostly just gushing because there are good people in this movie.
Yeah.
There's like good good cinematography and music in these movies.
The acting from all of our youngest actors are not awesome because they're babies.
Yeah, because they're little tiny baby children.
But then they grow into it. They figure it out. Neville really grows into himself.
Oh, jeez.
It is
the Neville Longbottom Club.
But it is so interesting to see that small, pudgy little thing grow up to become what he did become in the
Ironically,
end.
Like a tall, lanky British boy. Like he could have been. But,
he could have been
like,
Harry.
And so like think about the story of Harry Potter.
Right.
And like how there's a point where like Neville could have been the boy who lived, but he got marked and he didn't make it through.
Yeah.
And here then is this young boy who's like, no, you're not Harry Potter. And then by the end it's like, oh, you could have been. If we had made you Harry Potter, you would have looked like Harry Potter.
He wasn't nerdy enough looking as a kid. I think he was a little too round, a little too
I agree. He didn't
dunce.
Yeah. He didn't look like he looked like he didn't look sharp.
Right.
As a child.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, really
let's
good,
be done.
Really
let's
good times. This has been another episode Not Suitable for Adults, and we thank you for sticking with us. We're sorry we were gone for a month. We're not trying to do that.
We're not saying sorry anymore.
It's too late to say sorry.
Too late to apologize.
Yeah. We just referenced 2 whole songs. But we do thank you for sticking with us, and we'll continue to get episodes out as we're able to. Thank you to Shad Warrell for creating our theme music. You can find his work at SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/shad-warrell, and there'll be a link in the show notes as usual. We don't have any other things coming up. I don't think no announcements or anything, right? That's changing for us. Anyway, so yeah, just the regular old thing. And get outside, first of all.
Are you talking about going outside?
Sometimes you should get outside.
Does anybody on this podcast know you at all?
I need to get outside.
Okay. Do you need me to force you outside?
No, what I mean is like sometimes like you are working from home all the time and most of your free time is spent at your place.
Yeah.
And so, like, you might go out in the world from time to time, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But when you're at your house, when you're in your safe space, just never, ever forget that you are, in fact, still and remain, and we're always the boss.
So watch whatever you want.
All right. Hey, bye.
Bye.